have to be my first job out of college. When I graduated as an unemployed UT grad, my first job was with Fidelity Investments. They'd opened an office in Dallas. And you got, I think, 2 weeks of training, if I remember right. So you go into a class, a bunch of freshly married kids, you go in, you take 2 weeks of training, they throw you on the phone. And it was a pit of 3 people in, like, imagine one cube with 3 people sitting in the cube in one of the corners where the supervisor would come in and check on you. You'd have your headset on. They would bring carts with lunch. You weren't even allowed to leave for lunch. You ate. You spent your entire shift in your chair. And it was basically, if you ever call one of those 800 numbers, you want to, what's a dividend? I need to move money, that sort of thing. And it was probably the hardest job I ever, from a customer service, probably the hardest job ever. One, uncertain about, unconfident about what I was doing, and 2, it's just my first real job. That's easy. The hardest part of the work was, so imagine your first job, 2 weeks of training, you're on the phone, and the phone rings, and literally it's one call after another. Hello, thank you for calling Fidelity Investments. And I remember, as a perfect example, this happened all day though, a person managing a school's pension fund. So you're thinking about the school teachers. And he'd call in and he'd say, I want to move $20 million between this fund and that fund. And I would think, oh my God, and the systems were so complicated and there were so many of them. And you had to figure out the account system and the wire transfer system and all that. And I thought, oh my God, if I screw up this transfer, all of these poor teachers' pension fund would be lost into this abyss at Fidelity. So it was the systems and just the magnitude of the dollars that you were dealing with was by far the hardest part. Really good. I think I would give you a story. There were a lot of satisfying moments, but you would also get calls from people who maybe a loved one had passed away and they were figuring out what to do with their 401k, and you could kind of help them with that. And so there was definitely a human part of it. So there was, although it was a brokerage service, I was always amazed at how people would be so open about their life. They'd call in to do a transaction, and I was measured on literally that little corner of the cube I was telling you about. Someone was in there, and you were on timers. You had clocks and alarms on your system but you just you're dealing with people, so you sit and try to sometimes provide a shoulder to cry on. So I think part of it was just the human, and be able to connect with someone on the other phone. Half the time they were just investing vampires that just wanted their thing done, and then 20 or 30% you'd actually have a personal conversation and people would share amazing details about their lives, which was always surprising but rewarding too. I would have to say I love to be wowed on a call. I like when, of course, someone calls in and they say, here's my problem, and they solve your problem. But I love when someone does that little extra that and I will tell you, when that happens, I feel a lot better about the company because of what that one person did. And so I love when someone says something or does something or offers something that I was not expecting. That is by far my favorite part of it. Well, if you think about our business, the customer service you get here, you are the face of the company. They buy our product on a JHook or they buy it off a website, and really the only NetSpend interaction they have is with our agents who take the calls. And so in a lot of ways, in all ways, you are the face and the voice of the company. And so that's pretty important. If you think about our challenge is attracting new customers and retaining the customers we have. And also, I look at a lot of data around our business. And Lisa and the customer experience team share feedback in virtually every feedback loop we have. What we hear from our customers is, I found out about this product by what someone else told me, a good experience they had. And it's generally an experience they share when you dig into it with a service experience. Hey, this is a company who cares. You can call in. They are different. So that's pretty powerful. If you think about growth driven by referral and word of mouth, you better be great at service, which I think we are. And that's, so I'd say it's very important to how we grow the company. That every call is an opportunity, I think. And when they call, obviously you want the question answered, and you want empathy and that sort of thing. But I do think what I would hope that we aspire to is that personal connection that we make. When someone calls in, they understand that we care and that they leave that call with the confidence that we solve their problem and that we care about them and that we care about their problem. Well, I think if you looked at all your customer, we all, our walk of life, whether it's showing up at a restaurant and having a cold meal show up, or dealing with your cable company or your wireless company. So we have a lot of customer service experiences, and I find most of those are not very good. I think generally people are detached and don't care, and it's all about answer your question and get you off the phone. And I think what's different about us is the calls I listen to and the customers I talk to, it's clear our customer service team cares. And so that is, I think, the greatest thing about our team is they ultimately care, because everything great emanates from the empathy and caring. We can teach, we can reinforce, we can incent, but you can't fake caring.
That's specifically what they can study.
I don't know how you can be successful in any job, really, if you've never, particularly as a senior, as you move up, and never served in some customer service role. I just don't know how you do it. It's foundational to as a leader, the instincts that you have, how your value system, how you construct and manage an organization. I don't know how you do without it. That's been my journey, having done it, and I honestly rely on things I learned back then. They're still with me, 25, 30 years later. So I think it's foundational. When we get up early, I'm going to get there early because I don't know anything about this, other than as a user. So I have lots of thoughts, and that's probably dangerous. So I'm going to get there early so I can get some training, and then I'm sure I'm going to just be thrown to the wolves. And of course I'm going to brush my teeth and gargle really well, because I think we're going to be sitting really close to each other. So I'll wear nice clothes, comb and wash my hair. I'll be ready to go. I'm a user of the product, I'm a believer in the product, but I certainly am not an expert in the product. And I think obviously people who are taking the calls are experts in the product. So the hardest part will be answering the questions, I'm sure, and then enduring the laughter and ridicule that will come as a result of the buffoonery that I'm certain will unfold when I take these calls.